The letters we never sent. In a small seaside town nestled between the cliffs and the waves, lived a girl named Eliza and a boy named Thomas. They met one rainy afternoon in the town's old bookstore, where the scent of ink and paper seemed to hang in the air like a memory. She was searching for a forgotten novel, and he was hiding from the storm. Their eyes met over a shelf of poetry, and something sparked, silent, soft, and undeniable. Over the next weeks, they saw each other often. Sometimes in the bookstore, sometimes at the coffee shop where Eliza worked, and other times just walking along the cliffs, sharing stories about stars, old songs, and their childhood dreams. But as summer faded, so did their time. Thomas had to leave for university in another country, and Eliza had her family to take care of. They never officially said goodbye. Instead, they promised to write letters. And they did, at first. Eliza wrote about the sea, about the way the wind carried whispers of him. Thomas wrote about city lights, about how he missed the quiet sound of her laughter. But slowly, life interfered. Letters became less frequent. One went unanswered. Then another. Eventually, they both stopped writing, assuming perhaps the other had moved on. Years passed. Eliza stayed in the town. She became a teacher, still visited the bookstore, still walked the cliffs. Thomas traveled the world, chasing stories as a journalist, but never stayed in one place long enough to feel at home. One winter evening, a package arrived at Eliza's doorstep. Inside was a bundle of letters, hers, never opened. Each one had a note attached in a familiar handwriting, found in my father's attic. He kept them from me when I told him I wouldn't take over the family business. I never knew they were there. I never stopped thinking about you. Her heart ached and danced at the same time. Days later, a man stood at the edge of the cliffs. Older now, with tired eyes and a hopeful smile. "Hi, Eliza," Thomas said. She looked at him, tears in her eyes, and replied softly, "I always walked these cliffs, hoping one day you'd come back." And just like that, time folded in on itself. The letters they never sent no longer mattered. They had the present, and maybe that was all they ever needed. Whispers across the lake. It was in the quiet town of Willowmere, nestled between rolling hills and a silver blue lake, where Alara first met Jonah. Alara had moved to Willowmere in the spring, hoping to escape the noise of the city and the heartbreak of a love that had ended without goodbye. She rented a small cabin by the lake, where the mornings were filled with birdsong and the evenings with the soft hum of crickets. She spent her days painting the water and the woods, trying to bring back color into her life. Jonah was a local carpenter, known for his gentle voice and quiet kindness. He often worked at the edge of town, restoring old boathouses and fixing creaky porches. One late afternoon, he stopped by Alara's cabin after noticing her broken railing. Without much of a word, he offered to fix it. "You're new here," he said as he measured the wood. "Yes," Alara replied, "I guess I needed a new beginning." They didn't speak much that day, but something passed between them. An unspoken recognition of sorrow and hope. Over the following weeks, Jonah kept finding reasons to visit. He brought her wildflowers, freshly baked bread from his sister's bakery, and once, a carved wooden bird that looked exactly like the one that perched on her windowsill every morning. They talked about everything and nothing. He shared how he had lost his parents young, how he found solace in the rhythm of wood and tools. She told him about her city life, her art, and how loved ones left her with more questions than answers. One summer evening, as the lake shimmered under the fading light, Alara invited Jonah to sit beside her dock. She brought wine, he brought a guitar. "Do you ever wonder," she asked, "if two people can find each other again even after losing everything?" "I think," he said, strumming a soft chord, "that sometimes we don't find love, it finds us when we stop looking." That night, their hands brushed, and the silence between them was louder than any song. Their hearts had begun to heal, slowly, gently, together. Autumn came, painting the leaves in brilliant golds and reds. Jonah and Alara spent their days hiking through the woods, sharing dreams and fears, and their nights wrapped in blankets, whispering stories under stars. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't rushed. It was real. On the first snowfall, Jonah took Alara to the old boathouse he had been restoring all season. Inside, he had transformed it into an art studio just for her, filled with light, warmth, and canvases waiting to be painted. "I don't know what the future holds," he said, "but I'd like to build it with you." With tears in her eyes and a smile that came from the soul, Alara whispered, "Yes." And so, love found them, not as a sudden storm, but as a quiet lake at dawn, steady and deep.